want to introduce you to Lesley Van Zyl. Lesley is the woman responsible for establishing our orphanage in Entebbe in Uganda, and these short films that you're going to see are going to be her responding to her visit over there. What was it that moved you to volunteer in AKF's Uganda orphanage, Lesley?
There was actually a number of factors. First of all, I'd been to Uganda before on a mission trip back in 07-08, and also personally knowing Rob and Mary. Rob Crickett founded AKF, so knowing them, knowing their heartbeat, knowing what they wanted to achieve kind of put my mind at ease as well, and also just having a call, just knowing that God had really put Uganda on my heart, even though it wasn't an easy decision for me, it wasn't something that came easily. I just really knew that and sensed that it was where God wanted me to be for that season in my life. So when the opportunity came about through prayer and speaking with Rob and just understanding what AKF were trying to achieve, it kind of just all sort of aligned, and I felt really comfortable that this is where God had placed me.
What were your first impressions when you arrived at the AKF orphanage development stage of your stay in Uganda?
It was a bit of an interesting time for me because we'd already been working with an orphanage in a church in Busega, which was just outside of Kampala, and for various reasons we decided not to continue with them. And then I was living in, I guess, central Kampala. And during that time I sort of had to work in terms of finding another orphanage and another pastor, another group to partner with, and fortunately, you know, we were able to find that group of people, and then it was a matter of sourcing a house that would be suitable to house 25 orphans. So that brought a lot of challenges in itself, but over a period of time and a number of days, through the pastor, I was sort of able to share with him what we were trying to achieve, what we were looking for, and we were successful in finding a home out in Entebbe. It was an interesting task having to find a home for the orphans. You know, being in a new environment, different culture, don't really understand the customs, having to find a home for 25 children and, you know, 3 or 4 other helpers in a foreign country.
Were you scared?
Was quite, yeah, it was quite a daunting experience, and not really knowing where to start, where to look, who to ask. But fortunately, working with the pastor, he was able to connect us to a number of other contacts who were able to help us find a home that we were looking for. But it took a number of goes, a number of attempts. There was difficulties in terms of communication, them understanding what I was actually looking for, and we had a set criteria working with AKF in terms of what we were looking for, but we were just fortunate that God was able to just lead and direct us and find the right home that would be suitable for the children, which just happened to be, you know, a couple of 100 metres down the road from Pastor Grace and his family. Yeah.
What did you spend your time doing in the orphanage?
Okay, it was quite a varied 5 months over there, just in terms of getting a home for the children. We needed to set up a lease agreement with the landlord and just working through what needed to be done in the house, the standards, the expectations, finalising that arrangement in terms of the duration of the contract.
Was that easy to do with the African landowners?
It was a challenging time having to organise that lease arrangement, but fortunately I took myself out of the equation and got the pastor to liaise with the landlord. He personally knew them, so that made things a lot easier, actually having that contact of a local person who was able to liaise with the locals, so I didn't actually have to deal with all the cultural and custom sort of language barriers. So that was very, really useful having him there. Another part of my role required me to just find out a bit of background and history on each of the children that we were taking care of. So understanding their family situation, how they became an orphan, how they came into the care of Pastor Grace and his wife, the age of the children, the tribes that they came from, if they had any other siblings, if they had any other health concerns that we needed to be made aware of. And it also required me to also take pictures of each of the children, take headshots of them and full-length shots of the children, which I could then forward back onto AKF as well. I was also required to keep in constant communication with AKF in terms of keeping them informed with what were the main issues, the main challenges, the progress that I was making. I also needed to make sure I was working within a budget as well that was allocated to me, and making sure that there was transparency in terms of receipts, and that I was getting quotes for buying children's clothing or education supplies, tables and benches that we got organised for the children, the water supply system that we got as well set up for the children so that they could actually have fresh cold water on the premises as well. In terms of setting up the poultry project, we had to get quotes for that as well. We had to speak to the right people. We had to organise beds and bunks, mattresses for the children. I also had to take the kids off and get them, have a medical checkup for them, make sure that all their skin conditions and all their health concerns were taken care of. I had to source a medical clinic as well. Also had to source, shoes for the children. A lot of the kids didn't even have shoes. Just simple things that we take for granted in terms of face cloths, towels, things that they needed to bathe with, soap, cream, and we also had to worry about, we also had to look after the mothers that were also taking care of the children as well, and making sure that their needs were attended to as well, making sure that they had a bed, a mattress, they had somewhere to put their clothes, making sure that they were also getting their health checked out as well. We also had to organise the kids and take them to a medical clinic to get HIV tested as well. And that also included the mothers and the helpers as well.